Good. One today is Wednesday, February 26th, 2025. Update for Thursday, 27th. All right, let's go. Well, obviously, ALLT, boy, what a bummer here. Stopping out after just one day in the trade. Looked like it was going to take off after trigger, but unfortunately came right back in. I don't know what else to say other than a big bummer there. I did apply a little bit of discretion, and I gave it a little bit of wiggle room on the stop, but obviously I have a big open loss in this one, so we'll see how it shakes out. Those who stuck with it, I'll be happy to share what I did. My stop went in below the intraday low today. We do have one short setting up in here. There's a couple of shorts. Walmart looks pretty good on the short side, too, if you're looking for more to do there. The short side can be a little tricky, as you probably know. I guess the long side is tricky, too, right now. But I do think this one has a lot of potential. We'll get to it. We'll get to it in just 1 second. KGC, let's go ahead and keep that one. And the BB on these longs or on any position for that matter. Just make sure, of course, you're waiting for an entry. Sometimes that in and of itself can keep you out of trouble. Here's the ALLT. Doesn't look horrible longer term. That's why I'm putting it back and or keeping it in Landry's list. If you did want a re-entry on this one, would be above this particular high here, and that's a trend pivot pullback. So obviously, again, a bit of a bummer. KGS is for as a KGC, as far as official setups. A little unorthodox, like I said last night, but gold stocks I'm a little bit more lenient with, and also BB as far as the long side. This one still looks pretty darn good, especially given the nature of this market. Short side, you can see CCL so far pulling back a little bit. We have a bow tie here. I don't know if I'll put that in the spreadsheet, but I will fix that in post. So that's a potential short. And as I said a second ago, Walmart explosion gap pivot type of setup and no support for a long way. So that would be an alternative setup or an additional setup if you're looking for something to short. There's still a few longs that are setting up. Obviously, if you go after anything, of course, and as usual, make sure you wait for entries. Let's take a look at the overall market, and let's drill down a little, he tried to say. Not a tremendous amount has changed from last night, so I'll try to keep it a little shorter tonight. You can see the P's unfortunately ended in Flatsville. Both type moving averages have turned down, and we're still below that 50 simple moving average. So for now, we're stuck in a range at best. Now, longer term, as I've been saying quite a bit and posting, you can see we still look pretty good. We're not too far away from that all-time highs, less than 5% away from all-time highs. But obviously, you have to pay attention to short term, too, and the moving averages, again, coming together. Could bow tie fairly soon to the downside. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ looking a little worse than the Ps. It's on the cusp of a bow tie. As soon as that 10 crosses below these two, that would complete the setup, especially if the market bounces a little bit in the process. So you can see sideways at best. It has begun to break down a bit. For now, we're at the bottom of the range. I wouldn't consider it a breakdown just yet, but very important for this market to stabilize and ideally and obviously go back up. As I say, quite a bit when you're at those high levels like the NASDAQ and especially the Ps. The Ps were just at all-time highs. A big down day looks ugly and a big up day looks fantastic. But right now, looking a little ugly still out there. Russell 2000, same as it ever was, tried to rally, but then came back in. Looks like a major top. So far remains in place there. As I've been saying quite a bit, a lot of areas have pulled back to the prior breakout. I won't bore you and show you all of those, but quite a few have done that. Take a look at like Internet, for instance. Internet's now setting up as a first thrust to the downside. This double top overshot itself, like I explained in last night's service. Broker-dealer, another double top type of setup happening there. Software stalled shy of its prior highs and then has begun to roll over. Watch last night's service for a lot more details on a lot of these areas. Jets, you know how I feel about the airlines. Wait until they have a major rally and then short them. You can see now you got a bow tie to the downside here, so that's starting to look pretty ugly. And the thing is, because we kind of just had this rounded top in here, you've got lots and lots of overhead supply. So that, again, looking fairly ugly. Some areas like foods have begun to bottom out in here and looking okay. It's kind of hard to get too excited about foods. Major drugs pulling back a little bit. So far looks like a bottom remains in place there. Cloud computing, none of those areas that's topped out in here and beginning to set up to the downside. You can see it could bow tie the downside fairly soon. So sector action, not so good. Again, make sure you wait for entries on anything that you do. And as I said last night, sometimes when market's iffy, the super speculative stocks can still do okay. Anyway, semiconductors tried to rally, but off their best level, sideways at best as of late. I think that's pretty much it for now. Again, not a tremendous amount has changed since last night, so go and watch last night's service for a lot more on that. Everybody have a fantastic night. Hang in there. Let's see if we can finally catch a trend one way or the other. Everybody have a great night. If you have any questions, you know the routine. Thank you so much.